Here's how to record your animation.
First, put your camera on a tripod. Could you do it without a tripod? In theory, yes, but it will be a very shaky video. And frustrating, as every frame you'll be working to not only move the characters, but also to keep the camera in place. Trust me, getting a tripod will save you time and make the whole thing much more fun. Plan to spend a little bit of time fiddling with trying to figure out how to use the tripod with the camera adapter. While I'd love to explain it to you, every tripod is a bit different, and I have faith you'll figure it out eventually. Also, it's a good idea to plug in your phone if you're able. Recording video is a real battery drain. Additionally, it's a good time to add in that desk lamp or clamp light we told you about in the shopping list. It's the difference between your video looking like this and it looking like this. After spending all of this time to write the script and build the props, it's worth it to take that small amount of time to add in a lamp and make it look that much better. It's well worth the setup. I use a pair of super cheap lights that get really hot if I leave them on too long, so I turn them off when I'm not using them. They came in a kit with a light box, which makes all the lighting very even. It gets rid of harsh spotlight effects. It's a nice next level setup. So, got the tripod, got the lamp, lovely. Lay in the background you created for the first shot and characters or objects on top of it. You're about to start animating. There's some practical, simple tips to keep in mind here. Make sure pieces you don't want to move don't accidentally get bumped from frame to frame. Watch out for having pieces that are too small, as they're tough to move around without accidentally moving other pieces. Also, be careful the smartphone doesn't accidentally get bumped. Think about the framing of the piece. Test the smartphone camera with the tripod to make sure it's working. And try to avoid using a digital zoom on the camera, as it decreases the quality and, more than that, magnifies the errors that happen from a slight bump.
So how long should each action take?
Let's use my example again. The masks come on screen, hold there for a second, and then come off.
We already know from the story reel that this is going to take 2 seconds, but within those 2 seconds, those 20 frames, how long should each action take? So one thing I like to do is just kind of act it out. With 2 masks coming on, I would just do this. Count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. So now I have a good feeling for it. It takes about half a second to come on screen, stays there for a second, and then it leaves screen another half a second. That's 2 seconds.
Since each second is 10 photos, that's 5 photos of them coming on screen, 10 photos of them in place, and 5 of them leaving. It's worth noting that those middle 10 photos will be roughly the same picture. That's called a hold, which is exactly what it sounds like. A lot of people, when they're first animating, end up with pieces that look like this, instead of this. The way to avoid that is to take 5 photographs where the props move on screen, then these 10 photographs in a hold where you only move them around ever so slightly so it doesn't look completely frozen in place, and then these 5 where they move off screen. This is obviously a very simple example, but the same principle applies with anything you want to animate. If you're going from one position to the next, think what the in-between photos should look like. Rather than having things pop on screen, possibly animate them in. Don't just jump from one position to the next. Let's say you wanted to animate a bouncing ball. In this example, it's 5 photos to the first bounce, 7 to the next, and 10 photos for it to get off screen. And here's the relative path, and here it is in animation. I suspect this level of animation is about as advanced as you're going to get on a first foray, so I'm trying to keep the actual how to animate lessons here as simple as possible. I have one big note. The way to learn animation is to copy what you see. If you want to animate a wave, try having someone wave. Video it, time it out, animate it. After a while, you'll start to get a sense of how many frames things take. While there's so much more I could say about how to be a better animator, for now the best thing you can do is just get your hands dirty and start animating. Speaking of hands, it's unlikely you have more than 2 of them. It can be annoying to go back and forth from moving props on the table to taking pictures. It's a great time to involve a friend in your process, someone to take the pictures while you do the moves, or vice versa. Working in teams can be a great way to save time. Remember to wait for the hands to get out of the shot before you take the picture. Again, get your hands out of the shot before you take the photograph. Some people with even bigger teams can add a third person to make last-minute props on the fly. All right, it's all you now. Time to animate your piece. Pause this video and get to work, animating all 300 pictures of your 30-second piece.